Welcome to this part of another soul-gripping testimony, delivered from deep darkness. This testimony may have visually disturbing scenes, therefore viewer discretion is advised. Please note that this is just one part in a series of videos of this particular testimony, so if you have the stomach for it, feel free to check out the entire playlist, Delivered from Deep Darkness, here on this YouTube channel. "Now I will tell you the story of your life," said my mother. "Because I believe you are of age to understand. I longed to know why I was not like my age mates. Older people honored and almost revered me. Age mates feared me. Parents prevented their children from coming near me. My parents treated me with great respect, as if I was their feared master. I had many privileges other children my age could only dream of. I knew I possessed great power beyond many witches. I was the youngest among the priests of the regional council. My region, the Katonga Kagera designation, had achieved great exploits during my 3-year reign as its territorial priest. I enjoyed the power, the privileges, and the honors, but wanted to be like the other boys adventuring the plains and valleys of youth. For as far back as I can remember, the longing of my heart was to just be normal. I had many unanswered questions. Why am I like this? Am I human like others? Where did I get all this power and influence? Why couldn't the other people see and do what came to me so naturally? My mother's opening statement promised answers, so she immediately had my undivided attention. We had traveled 3 days to Jerusalem on our 5-day journey to Pemba via Zanzibar. This was another long journey among the many we had made in the search of a solution to remove those mysterious powers. My mother longed for me to be like other children. Most of her efforts ended in abuses, insults, and curses, as the witches she took me complained of me robbing their powers and overturning their cauldrons. I enjoyed capturing weak entities and turned those guardians into toys for fun. I could do this by overturning the cauldrons and diverting their guiding star. If I managed to capture the guardian star, the witches would not regain their power. Those who tried to attack my mother in retaliation were quickly taught a lasting lesson. I would blind them, open the astral trap, and then carry them away in the net like prey. We were 3 days into this new journey, and I was looking forward to some new adventures outside of my region of authority. As we sat at the pier waiting for the late evening ferry, my mother pleaded with me not to interfere with the master we were going to consult. She began recounting all her ordeal from the time of my conception. It sounded like an epic ode of a great knight, narrating the adventures of a far land. The great black old ferry swung as if in agreement with the story about to be told. The noise of merchants and laborers at the dock formed an accompaniment to dissolve the pain from my mother's eyes. She was weather-beaten, tired and torn after many years of travel, torment, and taunting. She had put in all and not yet ready to give up. Even though many thought I was a reproach, to Mom, I was her castle on the hill. Her misunderstood yet brilliant gem that the world will soon come to appreciate. She often held me as one holding their only treasure. If only she could reverse a terrible mistake, roll back the reproach. On every journey, she wore the garment of expectation that she would return with a normal son and silence all the noise accusing her of giving birth to a witch. Because of this son, she lost all her inheritance and forced to resign her teaching job at the village school. Her husband left shortly after my birth, along with her 7 daughters who were taken away by relatives. She was lonely, distressed, and torn, but determined to complete the mission. Pemba now was the last resort. The endless parade pilgrimage, prayers, and indulgences to the Virgin Mary and the saints had now proved futile. The church as she knew it had power, but was not willing to redeem her dream. The Arab Sultan of Chaka Chaka Pemba, the famous sorcerer of Oman, was her expected savior now. Mom, I owe you a lot. I can't stand tears as I write this. Whenever I think about your sacrifices, the rivers of tears streams flow to flood the page I am writing. You gave all so I can have a chance. You never gave up on me, nor did I ever sense any regret in you for having me. I write this to glorify God and to testify of your relentless love. I honor you, Mom. You are the greatest of heroes. Thank you for all you gave me. My father died mysteriously, she started. After his burial, I could tell the wolves were waiting to devour me and my only brother, Billy. I was 18, and my brother Billy only 10. Our mother died in labor giving birth to Billy. Our father, though a chief and very wealthy, had refused to give in to the demands to remarry. He was still grieving for his wife up to the time of his death. Being his only daughter and my brother his only son, I knew all the elders and relatives were seeking for a way to take advantage and rob us of our inheritance. My task was to protect and preserve my father's wealth until Billy was of age to take my father's mantle. My resolve was to marry someone as quick as possible who would protect me from the vulture. She gazed at me as if carried by the breeze of memory to a glorious paradise. She whispered with the posture of a departing philosopher to his disciples. And your father appeared, a young engineer, known widely in our county, the only one to have studied abroad and from the famous Kawalya family. Michael Kawalya was charming, strong, and elegant, a gazelle amidst deer. I knew his status would scare off all the marauding hyenas and foxes. When he proposed, it was as if the gods had smiled on me. This memory gave my mom such joy. I wondered about her appearance during those days of courting Dad. My teen memory processor was working overtime to paint the right picture of that moment. She pulled a corner of her dirty scarf to wipe the imagined tear, though her eyes were dry. I believe it was her heart that was weeping, but she could not tell the difference. Was it tears of joy or regret? Was she missing Dad, who had abandoned her because of this mysterious demon hosting thing she called son? More of such questions were flooding my mind, only to be interrupted by some commotion on the docks. There was loud explosion, followed by lots of people yelling at each other. A cargo handler slipped and landed a few steps away. His trousers split down the entire seam to expose all what we hide to look different from beasts. He fell flat where a couple was feasting on fried fish and some sort of mashed African potatoes. His face, white with fish and potato poultice, was a welcoming relief the tension in our conversation. "Mom, see his face!" I shouted. She stole a glance and avoided the shredded trousers, and then picked her water bottle just to moisten her throat for the next scene. I longed to join the cheering and yelling, but Mom's look demanded attention. Her eyes seemed to accuse me as if I was responsible for the mess. She seemed to imagine that the man just stumbled into the cage of spirits I always built around my presence. Without a word, I knew she was warning me not to sabotage this journey as I had done previously. Though my eyes suggested I was not doing any projection, Mom doubted. The truth was, my chief guardian spirit had to announce my presence to the territorial entities through such acts. I turned to the sea to withdraw the manipulation I had secretly launched to the coastal maid, and almost immediately the high winds which had started quickly calmed. The yelling on the docks stopped. I could not tell if they were obeying my commands, or if it was just an amazing coincidence. "Your father loved me and really protected me," she continued as if nothing had interrupted. "I did not know he had married under his father's pressure to marry a young girl who should give him as many children as possible. He had lost his only brother among 8 sisters and was now responsible for the rebirthing of the family clan. I was married to breed babies," she continued with a sad gaze covering her face. "I was just being used. Every year I was in maternity, and every birth was an emotional blow that sent my dear husband further away. We were only having girls. By the 4th daughter, I knew I had to take matters into my own hands or lose my marriage along with the protection it offered. My brother Billy was becoming more stubborn and extremely rebellious with each passing day. He did his best to fit in with all the other teens regardless of the consequences. He was just too immature to understand the battle raging over our heads. His dropping out of school signaled the beginning of the end for him. Your dad abandoned me in the hospital for 10 days after my 5th birth, leaving one of his sisters camping out in our matrimony bedroom to evict me from the marriage. I wanted to leave, but I needed the protection of this family until Billy was 18 to take on our father's mantle. Billy had started drugs and alcohol, and I was rescuing him every day from the police. He demanded his share of our father's estate and daily threatened to kill me and my girls. "Look at me, my son." She pulled my hand so I could look her in the eye. "You are my only remaining hope. My father is dead. My husband abandoned me, and now I am being threatened by my only brother. I had to do whatever it takes to get a son. I went into this witchcraft, temples, shrines, and spiritual house because your people wanted a son. I sold my entire father's inheritance to finance this great assignment. Only the soul of a boy child would silence the insults and remove the reproach. The message was clear. Whether you believe me or not, I had to face these giants and win the prize, all while giving attention to my 5 daughters. After my 6th birth, I traveled to the sacred forest of Minziro to consult the famous mother of mermaids and the guardian of the house of Macanthea Azania. You know she was the mother of the elephant, and being a mother of the lost stars, I knew she would help solve this mystery of a son. I had to cleanse 7 days in the forest before I was allowed to appear before her. This cleansing meant living like a beast in the forest for 7 days and nights. No human contact and no clothes. Eating fruits and strange leaves. Though I was hearing all this with my outer ear, I had shifted to check on the zone and the fort at this hour of the evening smoke. After my cleansing days, she continued, I appeared to the one-breasted mother. Without even a glimpse at me, she said in a calm but serious tone, "Mother of the sun, I will not help you." I did not know what that meant until the keeper was ushering me away. I hesitated, but the keeper explained the mother would not help. Saddened and tired, I walked out of the forest with all hope lost. A few miles into this defeating returning journey, a light in my heart appeared as if to reveal a hidden treasure. Something glittered in that light. Even the sky joined in at that very moment, releasing the clap of thunder, accompanied by blue lightning. The winds gathered the clouds to darken the path in front of me, blocking the path to defeat. It is as if I was seeing the star of my son. A loud voice in my heart echoed the words of the one-breasted mother, "Mother of the sun." Which son? What did it mean? I swiftly turned to return to the one-breasted mother to inquire of this mystery. I believe I had seen my son's star in the clouds. I will not be denied. I registered for the cleansing and preparation ritual to be seen again. After another 7 days and nights, she now welcomed me with respect and applauded my courage to search out the mystery. "Mother of the sun," she said to me, "you have one son who hosts a sacred star. We cannot bring him because he sits deep in the sealed rocks at the foundation of the mountains. The sacrifices to bring him out will be very high. I cannot delay him because the winds are blowing to bring him forth. He will be a problem for the years of weavings, satanic manipulations we have achieved. So you must promise to fulfill the demands for such a son." The fairy seaman approached to record our details before we launched out. It was a requirement to record everyone on board and leave their details with the office on main land. I disliked his interruption, and in my heart I resolved to punish him before the end of the trip. He jokingly touched my head and asked, "Can you swim if I throw you into the water?" Mom knew that this man had overstepped his boundaries and looked at me with eyes that pleaded forgiveness for this man's foolishness. Forgiveness was not my virtue. He was playing with a young viper raised by a desert cobra and needed to be taught a lesson, and quickly. As he turned to the couple next to us, he mysteriously missed a step, hit the steel rail, broke both arms, and lost 3 teeth. Mum quickly grabbed my hands and kept pleading, "No, no, no, you can't do this, stop it." The steaming of the ferry, the roar of sea, and the murmuring of the Arab passengers in our cabin could not allow our talk to continue. Our 7-hour journey to Zanzibar was uneventful, except the few manipulations I tried that night to check on the hosts of the sea. Being out of my region, I could not to do much, only to guard and watch my codes and protect myself from the witches of the sea. At the lodging place at Zanzibar, I was eager to continue with the narration. We were to wait for 2 days before the next boat to Pemba. After a morning meal of porridge and mixed dish of fish, I asked if Mum could continue with the story. Her smile assured me that she was also eager to tell her victories. I always loved Mum's smile. She must have been the most beautiful woman of her generation. Though beaten by her journey and worn by the troubles of life, she radiated a beauty like a perfectly cut diamond in sunlight. While I was in the forest, she continued, that woman demanded I offer a sacrifice of 7 heads of cattle every month until I gave birth. That was a very high price and would take the rest of my father's inheritance. The other demand was so strange that I did not think much of it at the time. She asked me to offer this promised son to her as her husband on the day of his birth. I was to bring him back to the same forest before the sun passed over him. She was the only one offering me the solution that solved all my problems. I gladly agreed to the demands. My son, I conceived immediately after leaving the forest. I sold my father's remaining estate to afford the demand of 63 heads of cattle. You are an expensive child, she said with sarcasm as she pricked my left cheek. I didn't know whether to smile back or to maintain the serious gaze I wore at that moment. The pregnancy was uneventful, except the rare visitation of a python in my dreams every end of the month. Your father kept complaining of a mysterious leopard that prevented him from coming near me during the pregnancy. I did not pay this much attention because I had hit my jackpot. I knew this would be a special child, the long-awaited son to make everything right in my life. I walked into the hospital a few minutes to midnight and immediately went into labor. All my fears vanished as the labor seemed lighter than all the previous episodes. It was as if I was in a trance, watching someone else going through this. The announcement of boy-child being born was as a sound from heaven. It was like watchmen on the wall hearing a trumpet sound declaring victory after a long, hard battle. I cannot remember a more joyous time ever in my life. I wanted to scream at the announcement. How could they have known how much this baby boy meant to me? The tears of joy that now filled my soul was an effective remedy to numb the pain from the remaining procedures. My husband would be proud of me. I have earned him an heir. This is my reward. It is a boy, so beautiful, he will serve God. Before I continue with my mother's narration, allow me to make something crystal clear. In a desperate situation, my mother agreed to sell me to a witch in a marriage covenant. Parents should watch the promises they make for their children. The devil has no authority to operate on earth because he does not have a body. He can accomplish his evil plans on earth only if he can secure a body to host him. Anyone given out to witches through covenants becomes a host of the devil. Such will be an agent of evil to destroy others, including his household. Parents have spiritual authority to sell their children. As a priest, I presided over many ceremonies where parents gave their children away, believing they are giving the children to God. Many people are tricked into dedicating their children to their ancestors or to other religious deity. I want to warn you here. Be careful of baby dedications. Listen to the words spoken by the minister carefully. Unless the children are offered to Master Jesus Christ, without any mediators, the kingdom of darkness will seek to claim them. Many of these ministers are positioned to capture destinies for wickedness. The devil is a schemer. He knows how to obstruct, sabotage, and divert great destinies. He deceives desperate parents to covenant their seeds to him. He is a gatecrasher. Do not be deceived. As I write this, I want to plead with you. Do not sell your children. Wait patiently on God. God will act on your behalf. Do not try the devil's options. His bites are poisonous. More on this later. Now back to my first journey as a baby. As the midwives and the nurses took you for their procedures, I was suddenly reminded of the vow. I had to bring you back to the forest before the sun went over you. Getting out of the hospital with a newborn not properly attended was no easy task. It required bribing my way out to immediately begin the 280-kilometer journey to the forest. I arrived towards the evening celebration of the mermaid mother. To my surprise, this day the forest was not as quiet as the times I went there before. The road had been cleared to accommodate the multitudes of people who were marching towards the forest. This large crowd was in a very festive mood, celebrating something I did not understand. I and the newborn baby were received with great honor at the registration post. Honor I had not known before. It then began to dawn on me that this was a wedding celebration. A wedding for you, my son, to that woman old enough to be your great-grandmother. Thousands from all over Africa were present for this strange marriage. Hundreds of wise men and witch doctors were enchanting their allegiance to the mother as we entered the enclosure. I handed you over to the priests, and a marriage was conducted by a church bishop dressed in full ceremonial regalia. My son, that is how I sold you. This is the reason we have suffered so much. After 2 days of rituals, I was sent home with new orders, one of which was to never breastfeed my baby. Not breastfeed my baby? What foolishness. I have given birth and weaned 6 children. What do these silly people know of taking care of babies? I agreed, but resolved in my mind that my treasured baby would enjoy the blessing of my breasts. The drama started immediately after we arrived home. That same python I used to see in my dreams while pregnant with you came and coiled around your cot for 2 to 3 weeks at a time every time someone came to touch you. Its presence was constant for the first 3 months of your life. No one could access you when the python is around you. At night, the same leopard that kept your father from being intimate with me when I was pregnant would come and guard your room. Why was this necessary? A significant bond is formed and solidified with a baby and its mother during the first few months of life. Breastfeeding and skin-to-skin contact facilitate this bonding. The commands given to my mother were to ensure my imprinting was not to her as a woman, but rather to the serpent. This serpent was with me as a guardian spirit until the day of my deliverance by Master Jesus Christ. My mother continued. What was to be a triumph for me and the Kawalia family had become such a disaster. The entire community feared our home. It was too much for your father. He decided to leave home even with my relentless pleading. I went into all this evil to get a son to keep my husband and my marriage. Now, because of the consequences of evil, I was losing my husband, my marriage, and my 6 daughters. I had become a shame and disgrace to the entire community. No one wanted to come near me. My child was being called a ghost child. My brother Billy was now a known drug addict and alcoholic. The day your father left is still vivid as if it happened yesterday. The day opened with a mighty downpour which I thought would delay him. I wanted to use the morning rain to convince my dear Michael to understand my situation, to prove to him how much I needed him. My dear husband, my gazelle among deer, could not even lend me his ears for a moment. He was so angry that day and determined in his resolve to abandon me. How was I going to raise such a son without an income, a depleted inheritance, and a newfound reputation as a witch? I held you, my son, and stood in the doorway, desperately trying to stop my dear Michael, my protector, my trophy, my defender, from going. I shouted, "This is your son, Michael." Perhaps the noise of rain on the tin roof had made him deaf to screaming of a desperate mother. The strong arms that protected me from storms when I married as a 19-year-old girl pushed me out the way. I fell by the side of the doorway. My husband jumped over me, shouted at my 6 timid, crying daughters to jump and follow him. I looked on helplessly as my world vanished into the rain. My husband, my daughters, my dignity, and my protection, I lost them all that day. My son, I fell into a bottomless pit that day and have not been able to climb out even to this day. If I solve this mystery, I know I would get back my daughters, my husband, and my marriage. It is now 12 years of seeking a solution. My only brother Billy is no more. I have no access to my 6 daughters. I have no relative, no friends. Please, this journey means too much to me. Do not sabotage it. If Sultan can break that marriage of the mermaid woman, you will become a normal child, just like all the other boys in the village. You will have your father and your sisters back home with you. Don't you want this, my son? I looked at my mother. Her face was hardened by determination, yet her eyes flooded with tears. I know she was going to do whatever it takes to find a solution. Mom had taken me through her battles. I was not sure if I wanted to know more and was therefore relieved by the silence that followed. It allowed me to drift away, not knowing what to say to her. I could clearly see her pain. But how do I explain to her who I have become? Does she know that I am a celebrated witch responsible for our entire territory? How could I make her understand how much power and influence her son now has because of this covenant she is so determined to break? Does she know how far I have gone in witchcraft, the battles I have fought just to protect her? If Sultan can give her the solution, will she survive the persecution? Am I even redeemable? If you have come this far, chances are high that you are loving this video. Please do me a favor and hit both that subscribe and like button to help this message to spread far and wide. Also, don't hesitate to check out the rest of the playlist Delivered from Deep Darkness right here on this YouTube channel. Thank you for supporting the Wake Up channel. God bless you.